As soon as she stepped through the door, a girl with short brown hair and sharp eyes confronted her. Leaning slightly against the door frame with her arms crossed, she spoke in a curious yet demanding tone. "Sister, are you cooperating with a big company that's recruiting actresses? Don't hide it from me. I saw the recruitment plan in your bag." Her words were quick, almost impatient, revealing both excitement and suspicion. The pink-haired woman stood silently at the doorway, the afternoon light casting soft shadows across the narrow hall. She looked up at her younger sister, who stood firmly with one hand on her hip. The air between them felt heavy. She knew this conversation wouldn't end easily. Letting out a calm sigh, the pink-haired woman finally spoke. Her voice was steady but gentle. "You're still too young. This isn't appropriate for you yet. Besides, it's only a small recruitment plan, nothing big. When the right opportunity comes, I'll help you." She hoped her words would ease the tension, but deep down she could already sense the irritation building in her sister's eyes. As the older sister finished speaking, her thoughts echoed silently. Sansan is too impulsive. She doesn't have a clear sense of direction. If she allowed her to join now, she might lose focus completely, skipping school, maybe even dropping out. That's not something I can let happen, she thought with worry pressing on her chest. But her attempt at reasoning only ignited anger. Sansan's eyes flashed with hurt and fury. "You lied," she shouted, her voice trembling with emotion. "I already read it. It's a big recruitment, not some small plan. You're just looking down on me." Her words cut deep, filled with resentment. "Don't bother coming back here anymore. This house doesn't welcome you." The older sister stood frozen, the sting of those words heavier than she expected. What began as concern had turned into rejection, and the fragile bond between them began to crack. As she walks alone along the sunlit street, the soft breeze gently lifts her pink hair. Her expression is thoughtful, her eyes distant with the weight of old memories. Having lived together for more than 10 years, she muses silently, could it be that Sansan never had any real feelings for me? Or maybe it's because she saw my photos. The question lingers in her heart, heavy and unanswered, as she clutches her bag and continues walking beneath the clear blue sky. The street remains quiet, except for the rhythmic sound of her footsteps on the pavement. Suddenly, the screech of tires cuts through the stillness. A sleek black car comes to an abrupt stop beside her. The reflection of sunlight glints off its polished surface, and the word "stop" echoes like a command breaking her thoughts. She pauses, turning her head slightly, curiosity flickering in her violet eyes. From the car, a familiar voice calls out. The door opens, revealing the tall man with cold, sharp eyes, the same man whose intentions she could never quite understand. "Get in the car," he orders firmly. "I'll take you to school." His tone leaves little room for argument, his gaze unwavering as he leans slightly from the driver's seat. She stares back, momentarily stunned by his sudden appearance. Her momentary surprise hardens into defiance. "No need," she replies curtly, her voice steady but edged with irritation. She straightens her posture, turning away from the car without another glance. The refusal is simple yet powerful, a quiet declaration of independence against his controlling nature. Ignoring his lingering gaze, she walks toward the nearby bus stop. The city hums softly around her as she steps onto the blue bus, her golden bag hanging from her shoulder. For a moment, her reflection appears in the glass, calm, resolved, and utterly alone. Though her heart is still unsettled, she chooses her own path, leaving him and the uncertainty he brings behind. The sun shone brightly over the campus as murmurs of excitement filled the air. Two students, passing by the front gate, couldn't contain their enthusiasm. "Why does our school have such a handsome guy all of a sudden?" one whispered, eyes wide with admiration. "What a masterpiece! He's so handsome," another squealed. Their voices carried through the morning air like sparks of curiosity, quickly drawing attention to the tall young man in a crisp white shirt standing nearby. His calm, distant demeanor only made him appear more mysterious and magnetic. Walking side by side under the clear blue sky, the pink-haired girl and the young man drew countless stares from passing students. Her soft elegance contrasted sharply with his composed, cool presence. Although they didn't speak, the tension between them was palpable. Unspoken emotions lingered in the silence. The wind brushed against her hair, lifting it slightly as she tried to ignore the curious eyes around them. Later, as she stepped onto the bus, she caught sight of him again. He had followed her, his steady gaze never leaving her. She felt frustration stirring within. After all, she thought, her brows tightening slightly, how long does he plan to keep following me? No matter how much she tried to distance herself, he always seemed to appear just a few steps behind, silent yet persistent. The next moment, a familiar voice called out from across the courtyard. "Kaka!" A girl with warm brown hair ran toward her, waving her hand anxiously. "Why did you suddenly leave that night? You scared me. Do you know that?" Her tone was a mix of worry and relief, her blue eyes full of genuine concern. She had clearly been waiting for an explanation since that mysterious night. The girl in the yellow top hurried closer, her ponytail swaying with every step. The sun cast a golden glow on her as she ran, her sneakers tapping against the pavement. The pink-haired woman turned slightly, her expression softening at the sight of her friend's sincere concern. It was a brief, quiet moment, an ordinary morning that carried the weight of unspoken worries and the faintest hint of something about to change. The morning sun shines warmly over the campus as Kaka stands beside a tall, calm young man. With a composed smile, he explains to the worried girl in yellow, "The night before she was with me, her phone ran out of battery, so she couldn't notify you." His tone is gentle but steady, immediately dispelling any tension in the air. Kaka stands quietly beside him, her eyes soft, a small, polite smile gracing her lips, as if to confirm his words. The scene zooms out, showing the trio standing under the clear blue sky. The girl in yellow seems uncertain, glancing between Kaka and the man beside her. Kaka remains calm, her posture relaxed yet graceful, her pink hair flowing in the breeze. The man's confident presence beside her only heightens the sense of quiet intimacy between them. The girl in yellow finally gathers her courage to speak, her brows furrowing slightly as she points at the young man. You're Muzi Quinn?" she asks hesitantly, her voice filled with both surprise and confusion. Her eyes widen as she tries to recall where she had seen him before, her thoughts spinning rapidly. A rush of realization flashes through her mind. That night, didn't he warn Kaka to stay away from Bi Ming-yi? She wonders to herself, her heart pounding. Why is he with her now? The contradiction gnaws at her, leaving her unsettled and suspicious of the true nature of their relationship. Muzi Quinn responds with a faint, almost teasing smile. "At that time," he says lightly, "I think they were the kind of relationship that couldn't be made public, so it felt unhappy." His words, veiled in ambiguity, carry a tone that is both calm and slightly ironic. His knowing smile deepens as if he's fully aware of the confusion and curiosity he's just stirred. A calm but firm statement hung in the air. "I like her. I want to pursue her." His voice, steady and straightforward, carried no hesitation. Though only his torso was visible, the weight of his confession felt overwhelming, bold, unapologetic, and utterly sincere. It was the kind of declaration that could change everything in a single moment. The girl in yellow froze, her eyes widening in complete shock. "What did you say?" she blurted out, disbelief written all over her face. Beside her, the pink-haired girl reacted instantly, her hands raised in flustered denial, cheeks slightly tinted with embarrassment. She forced a nervous laugh, trying desperately to defuse the situation before it spiraled.
"He's just kidding," she quickly insisted, waving her hands as if to erase his words from existence. Her expression was awkward yet determined, as though by saying it out loud, reality might bend itself to fit her denial. But the uneasiness in her eyes betrayed her panic, hinting that his confession struck deeper than she wanted to admit. Turning to him with hurried politeness, she spoke quickly, almost as if running from the moment itself. "Please return the bag to me. Thank you for helping me, but I need to go back to the dorm." Her voice trembled between gratitude and escape, and her eyes darted away, avoiding his steady gaze that seemed to see right through her. But he wasn't ready to let the moment slip so easily. "Don't you want to have a meal together?" he asked gently, raising an eyebrow. "You rushed back to the dorm last time just to wait for a phone call. Don't tell me you were waiting for Bae." His unfinished question lingered in the air, teasing, yet sharp, probing her true feelings. She stiffened, startled by how accurately he had read her, the tension between them tightening like an invisible thread. Her pink eyes gleamed with a mix of forced cheerfulness and barely concealed irritation. With a bright smile masking her embarrassment, she clasped her hands together and exclaimed, "So, I'll go eat with you, right now." Her tone was overly enthusiastic, almost defiant, as if to prove something not just to him, but to herself. Yet beneath her cheerful facade, a small mark of frustration appeared on her forehead, a silent sign that her emotions were far from calm. Turning toward her friend, she tried to keep her composure, though the situation clearly flustered her. Xiang," she said sweetly, forcing a polite smile. "Could you bring these things back to my room for me, okay?" Her voice carried a blend of hurried gratitude and hidden nervousness, her eyes glancing briefly at the man beside her, as though afraid of what he might say next. The girl in yellow, Xiang, winked playfully, clearly amused by the scene unfolding before her. "Okay, don't let our hero go hungry anymore," she teased, her words light and mischievous. Her tone carried the kind of knowing humor that only a close friend could use, one that both embarrassed and comforted the pink-haired girl at once. As they walked side by side, her thoughts began to wander. She sneaked a glance at him, watching the way he carried himself, calm, elegant, effortlessly confident. "I didn't expect him to eat something so simple," she thought to herself, recalling the moment he enjoyed a bowl of noodles. The food was cheap, just like the kind served at school, but he ate it happily, without complaint. He really doesn't act like a rich man at all. Her surprise softened into admiration, a faint warmth flickering in her chest as she looked at him anew. Now, walking quietly together down the sunlit path, the two said nothing. The soft breeze carried the silence between them, not uncomfortable, but full of unspoken thoughts. She clutched her bag nervously, her heart uncertain, torn between gratitude, confusion, and a feeling she couldn't quite name. And beside him, he walked calmly, his eyes gentle, as if he already understood everything she couldn't bring herself to say. The bright sky stretched endlessly above, painted in hues of gentle blue and soft white clouds. Sunlight filtered through the lush canopy of trees, scattering warm golden light across the path below. The air was calm, the kind of peaceful stillness that only nature could hold, as if time itself had paused to breathe. They walked side by side along the winding forest path, the soft rustle of leaves accompanying their quiet footsteps. The girl's long, pink hair swayed gently behind her with each step, shimmering in the sunlight like strands of rose silk. The young man walked beside her, his posture calm and composed, their silence not uncomfortable, but instead filled with unspoken thoughts. The forest around them whispered in the breeze, as if urging them deeper into its green embrace, a moment of quiet serenity shared between two uncertain hearts. As they continued, a faint memory suddenly surfaced in her mind, vivid and uninvited. Her expression froze as a scene replayed before her eyes. Bimengye, standing before her in a dark suit, his sharp eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made her heart race. She remembered how close he had been, how his presence had overwhelmed her, both frightening and magnetic. Her eyes widened slightly, the word echoing in her mind like a whisper she couldn't escape. Suddenly recalled, he noticed the change in her expression, the way her steps faltered, the flicker of emotion in her violet eyes. His brows furrowed slightly as he turned to her, his tone calm but edged with curiosity. "You and Bimingye have been here before?" he asked quietly. The question hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. She didn't answer right away. Her lips parted slightly, her gaze distant. The wind carried the faint scent of summer leaves, and for a brief moment, the forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting for her reply.
The girl's face tensed, her violet eyes flashing with sudden resistance. She clenched her hand near her chest and looked up, defiant. No, she exclaimed, her voice trembling slightly but filled with determination. It was clear she didn't agree with whatever was happening. As they walked along a sun-dappled forest path, the girl tugged against the young man's grip, her voice rising in protest. "What are you doing? I don't want to go there," she said, frustration coloring her tone. The man beside her, calm and unreadable, kept walking, his expression giving nothing away. Their hands were intertwined, though not out of affection. His grip was firm, almost possessive, as if he refused to let her go. Her steps faltered slightly, caught between resistance and confusion. The quiet forest surrounded them, the path ahead both mysterious and uncertain. Then his gaze darkened, sharp, cold, and unreadable. His eyes narrowed as though he had made up his mind about something. Whatever hesitation he might have felt before was gone, replaced by a silent resolve that made the air between them feel heavy. Without warning, he swept her into his arms, lifting her effortlessly. Her eyes widened in shock, her words caught in her throat. The world seemed to still for a moment as she stared up at him, unsure whether to be angry or flustered. His expression remained stoic, as though this was the only way forward, no matter what she said. The scene opens on a quiet stone path winding through a forest bathed in dappled sunlight. The air feels calm and gentle, yet there's an underlying tension in the silence. A figure walks forward, their steps measured and deliberate, their dark trousers contrasting sharply with the pale stones beneath their feet. The leaves rustle faintly overhead, framing the solitary path like a secret corridor through nature. Then a voice breaks the stillness, confident, almost challenging. "If you want to be seen by others, then you just scream." The words echo through the tranquil air, carrying both defiance and a hint of desperation. It's as if someone, unseen, is teaching a hard lesson about visibility, about how sometimes silence keeps you hidden, but a scream can force the world to turn and look.